Hello, welcome to the 2010 through 2011 NFL regular season schedule week 2 picks. We're going to start off with Pittsburgh at Tennessee. The last time the Steelers visited LP Field, the Titans came away with a 31-14 win, and Titans running back Tub of the Lard, Lendale White, taunted the visitors by stomping on a horrible towel. That image is undoubtedly burned into the minds of Pittsburgh, but Jeff Fisher believes it won't be an issue on Sunday. But the smash of Smash and Dash is no longer there, which makes Chris Johnson's appetite for yardage even stronger. Johnson will find yards to come on by the ground. That is, until he catches a swing pass and gallops 55 yards for a score. I'll say Titans 19-17. 12 o'clock on CBS, Dolphins at Vikings. The Vikes usually seem to take advantage of the noise in the dome. Minnesota has had a habit of winning and covering the spread at home since Favre arrived on the scene last year. While Miami has been strong on the road dating back to last season, they are typically poor in September. Look for the Vikes to have a bounce-back week against the travel-weary Finns. Vikings 23, Dolphins 20. At 12 o'clock on Fox, it's Arizona and Atlanta. It wasn't surprising Atlanta fared poorly in last Sunday's opener on the road against a powerful Pitt D in a 15-9 OT loss. Turner was held to 42 yards on 19 carries. It was less surprising that Zona had problems with the ball in its 17-14 victory at St. Louis. Derek Anderson, installed as the starting quarterback after Leinart was released, lost one of 4 Cardinals fumbles and only found Pro Bowl receiver Fitzy 3 times for 43 yards. One of those catches was a 21-yard touchdown with 6:13 left, and that proved to be the difference. Fitzy missed the last 3 preseason games with a bruised knee and has yet to develop chemistry with Anderson. Anderson was not helped in his Cardinals debut by running back Hightower, who carried 13 times for 54 yards and lost 2 fumbles. The Cardinals have dropped their last 4 visits to Atlanta since the 27-10 win in the 1993 season finale. I'll say Falcons 34, Cardinals 13. At 12 o'clock on CBS, it's the Ravens and the Bengals. If you thought last Monday night was a slugfest, well, just wait until you see this one. The Ravens have a lot to prove in this after being swept up by the Bengals last year. On defense, they need to prove that they can shut down Benson, who was the first running back to rush for 100-plus yards in 40 games against the Ravens D. I would expect to see a 2009-style attack from the Ravens on offense with Ray Rice leading or in supporting Joe Flacco on the passing game. If the Ravens want to put up a good fight against the Bengals, they have to first win the battle on the ground with a well-balanced running attack from Rice. I'll say Ravens 28, Bengals 23. At 12 o'clock on CBS, it's Kansas City at Cleveland. Harrison will be the relief that Browns quarterback Seneca Wallace will need to help lead the team to a victory. Harrison probably won't break his own record against KC last season, but the possibility of him dominating on the ground is more definite. The Chiefs are 2-7-1 all-time in Cleveland. I'll say Browns 18, Chiefs 16. At 12 o'clock on Fox, it's Chicago at Dallas. Despite a multitude of mistakes to credit the Cowboys with one thing, although it ended pretty badly, that fateful play at the end of the first half was the NFL's first Hail Mary shovel pass. The Bears can certainly match the Cowboys for boneheaded plays despite outgaining the Lions 463-168. Chicago turned the ball over 4 times and gave up 4 sacks. In addition, Lovie Smith opted to go on a 4th and 1 from Detroit's 1-yard line, although they trailed 14-13. Seems too risky despite a bona fide yardage. I'll say Cowboys 30-24. Next up on Fox, 12 o'clock, Philadelphia at Detroit. Since Kolb is not cleared to play on Sunday, Vic, who subbed admirably against Green Bay, will start. Vic passed for 175 yards and rushed for 103, flashing the skills that made him one of the NFL's most feared players. Vic is unstoppable, throwing for 2 touchdowns, rushing for another, and generally baffling the Lions' defense. Johnson has 9 receptions and 1 touchdown, and also catches several NFL rule books thrown at him by angry fans. I'll say Philly 31-24. At 12 o'clock on CBS, it's Buffalo at Green Bay. It's hard to see the Bills winning with their offense. It wasn't good in 09, and it opened this season with only 166 total yards on offense, at home even against a lesser defense. Meanwhile, the Packers scored 27 points on the road against a defense that's probably better than the Bills. I'll say Green Bay 27, Buffalo 7. At 12 o'clock on Fox, it's Tampa Bay at Carolina. Here's what the Panthers do best. They run the ball. Carolina's patent of running back tandem, Williams and Stewart, has been arguably the league's most prolific in recent years. Both are big backs who are difficult to tackle and are made better by a powerful O-line. I'll say Panthers sneak away 21-20. At 3:05 on Fox, it's Seattle at Denver. The Broncos have been among the league's most aggressive teams, incorporating elements of the spread offense, and the 49ers never tested Seattle down the field. That's the reason why Denver has won 10 consecutive home openers. I'll say Denver 24, Seattle 12. At 3:05 on Fox, it's St. Louis at Oakland. Rams have lost 12 consecutive games against AFC opponents, and St. Louis, however, will need to overcome a few injuries if they want to beat the Raiders again. I'll say Raiders 13, Rams 9. At 3:15 on CBS, it's Houston at Washington. Arian Foster's performance allowed four-time Pro Bowl receiver Andre Johnson and Schaub to have quiet days. Johnson had 3 receptions for 33 yards, while Schaub went 9 of 7 for 100 yards and a touchdown. Schaub had no problem taking a back seat to the running game, but McNabb looked chippy at times, completing 15 of 32 for 171 yards despite the victory. His 46.9 completion percentage was slowest with at least 30 passing attempts since September 9th of 2007. I'll say Houston 16, Washington 14. At 3:15 on CBS, it's the Patriots at the Jets. This will be a game of contrasts. The Patriots and their dynamic pass-happy offense against the Jets and their physical defense. The affable Rex Ryan against the staid Bill Belichick. Heck, even their treatment of female reporters wildly differs. The Jets try to incorporate a female reporter into their workout. The Patriots greet their female reporters with a whip-out. Patriots win 22-16. At 3:15 on CBS, it's Jacksonville at San Diego. The Jaguars lost by a collective score of 61-3 last season in the West Coast. Only 10% of teams make the playoffs after an 0-2 start. After a season-opening divisional loss to KC, that's what San Diego faces, unfortunately. But they have a history of recovering from slow starts. After starting 2-3 last season, the Chargers won their next 11 games. I'm going to say San Diego 20, Jacksonville 13. At 7:20 on NBC, it's the Giants at the Colts. Pierre Garçon had double-digit targets last week, and if he's not able to catch a ball like last week, then Dallas Clark should be able to, since he'll earn the winning edge over Kenny Phillips in the red zone. It's hard to imagine seeing 2 losses in a row. I'm going to say Indy 34, New York Giants 20. And then finally, we conclude Week 2 of the regular season with a former rivalry from way back in the past. It's the Saints at the 49ers at 7:30 on ESPN. Controlling the clock will be crucial in determining whether the Saints leave San Francisco with a 2-0 record in consecutive years for the first time in franchise history. The 49ers offense may not be as potent as it was in the 80s and 90s, but it won't have a performance like it did against Seattle. Look for a motivated 49ers team that wants to show it belongs in the conversation with the upper echelon of the NFC, and a New Orleans Saints squad that doesn't want to fall victim to a potential trap game. But since this game is in San Francisco, I think it will be closer than what most people expect. After all, I'm going to say New Orleans 24, San Francisco 17. And that wraps up Week 2 of this regular season. So I must ask, who you got?